This is an impromptu live. We didn't announce it. This is my wonderful friend Emma at Bean Magic. And there are some things going on behind the scenes that we wanted to discuss. And I feel like we may be doing this periodically on Emma's channel at Bean Magic, on my channel at Saraharyana. So just to tune in and we're really excited. So, but also this live will be up for those that want to watch later because this is impromptu. Yeah. So, Emma, the topic I think today that we're going to talk about is CERN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to give a little bit of, I'm sure everybody, I think we all kind of know about it, but I don't know if everybody knows exactly what it is from a scientific perspective. And I know that
Yeah.
you've got some stuff in front of you, and then I'll
Yeah.
share what I got.
Okay, this is good. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know about CERN or what it is, um, let's get into it. What is CERN? CERN is on Google. So it's the European Organization for Nuclear Research. It's an intergovernmental organization and the world's largest particle physics laboratory. Ooh, it's really, I can feel like the depth of the evil. Founded in 1954 on the border of Switzerland and France. So the organization's primary mission is to probe the fundamental structure of matter and the laws of nature, what the F, by accelerating subatomic particles to near the speed of light and studying their collision. So what's happened is why we're bringing this up, everyone. You may have seen this in the news, but those of you that don't watch the news, the accelerator's off. It went off June 29th, I believe. It's 2026. So they dismantled a 27-kilometer ring. It's scheduled to remain offline until 2030. So this is called the I think it's the Long Hadron Collider, LHC at CERN. And what they're doing is a 4-year upgrade. So, and in the meantime, they're saying the physicists are analyzing all the data, and then it's going to go back on to a much stronger, basically device, right? So, what was really interesting also, so they say the LHC, which is this, it's the most powerful particle acceleration. It is the actually CERN is the birthplace of the World Wide Web. I didn't know that. It's the birthplace of the World Wide Web. And
Wow.
what they say is that because it actually pioneered the development of grid computing, which laid the groundwork for the modern internet infrastructure. So this information, I was like, okay, so we got to get into it because there's been things that you've been downloading and have been going through, and I'm like, let's tell people about what's happening.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's so interesting is that I didn't realize it, but a couple of months ago, I started to hear something at night, in sort of early morning at night. When New Zealand is sleeping, I can hear it. So when I go to bed or if I wake up at any time during the morning, and it was like a warm, warm, warm. It's got that kind of sound. And initially, I thought, wow, what is that? Then I thought maybe it was the neighbors. I thought maybe it was something in our house. I thought it was something in the street. And then I was tuning in and it was like, no, this feels like something that's coming from the planet. And initially, as I mentioned to you, Sarah Ariana, is that I thought that I was hearing something within the earth. And I thought that I was basically connecting to Gaia. And then it went on and went on and went on. I didn't pay too much mind to it, but suddenly about what was, I think it was on the 2nd of July. Actually, I remember sending you a message and going, "It's really, really quiet here, but like quiet." And I hadn't put two and two together yet. And then when I went to bed that night, I thought, wow, where's that hum gone? That's why it's quiet. And all of a sudden it dawned on me. Anyway, so roll on to the next day and the next day, and all of a sudden there's something in my feed talking about CERN being shut down. And I look at it and whatever, and I don't think anything of it. And then I go to bed that night and it's quiet. And at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I go, oh my God, is that what I've been hearing? So then I got back into the article and they had switched it off, I think, on the 29th. And so that had been the couple of days where it had been like quiet, but I'd only noticed a few days later and whatever. And I sat there and I thought, wow, is that what I can hear? And so then I made it, well, I've called it Project CERN because I'm conducting my own experiments. And since then, it's been, I can't hear it at night. There is a peace on the planet. And so I'm not sure if that's what I'm hearing. But what's very interesting for me is that, I mean, jokingly, my husband has always called me the sentinel. So I have the sense of sound that has always been heightened or deeper or whatever you want to call it, but whereby like helicopters will come over or there'll be something coming down the road or whatever. And I'll always go, do you hear that? Do you hear that? To everybody in the room. And they all go, what? We can't hear anything. And then 5 minutes later, oh, there's the chopper. So I seem to be able to have like this sense of things coming in before most people can. And so I am now wondering if this is the thing that I started hearing just a couple of months ago. And it's really, really interesting because since I think as I've been opening up and trying to break down the walls of my heart and really get back into that feeling space, I feel like this is one of my things that is coming online. And so I don't know, the jury's out, but that's what I suspect it is. So I can actually hear, well, I can't hear it anymore, which is really interesting.
Which is really interesting. So your take on CERN, thanks for sharing that. Do you feel like it's a frequency disruptor for humanity? That's what I wanted to ask.
I do. I think it is. I think there's good and bad with it, as there always is. I think that there is something wonderful happening with it because I go, just the fact that it exists tells us that quantum is a real thing. So for many years now, people have been discussing, well, quantum physics and, oh, it's all theoretical and whatever. Well, why are you building what is it that said $10 billion for this upgrade that they're doing now over the next 4 years? Why are you doing that? And you've got a machine that's basically smashing particles together if there's no quantum. So, so it basically validates that there are things like that. They're looking for the nature of reality. Well, from what I understand, is that in 2012 something collided. They've given it a name. I don't know what it is, but supposedly that's the God particle, which
Yeah.
I find very interesting. But I don't think we need that machine to tell us where we come. You know, they're almost like keeping. I feel like they're trying to keep things in the 3D. We don't need that. We know that we are part of source. We hold the God particle. So I don't need a machine to tell me, oh, that, and that exists. You know, so, but I do think that if they can use it for that, they can also use it for other things. Because to me, it must emit frequencies. We are frequency, vibration, energy, all of that kind of thing. That's all that's going on in there. And therefore, I believe that it can emit a frequency. And those frequencies can either be used for good or for not so good.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're doing with it, because they never really tell us the full truth, do they? Up until
No.
where I'm sitting now, there's always an element of truth running through everything, but they never really actually come out and say what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I really feel when I tune in with my heart, my energy, I feel it's not for good. I feel like they're putting out a frequency that is dumbing down humanity. And it's actually it's literally putting veils over when I tune into it. But what's really interesting is there's good that's coming out of it. Like this is not a doom and gloom. The positive out of all of this is that this stopped June 29th. You stopped hearing it. Your extrasensory abilities, right? These gifts that you have, right? That you're like, oh yeah, it's not going on anymore. I feel like we have this pocket of window that is like, it's go time, humanity. It's go time. So we don't have interference. That's what I feel. The interference is
Absolutely.
stopped. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so when I was reading all this, so just so everybody knows, if they don't know, they're going to start rebooting it back up in 2028 and it'll be at its maximum power again by 2030. We keep arriving at this date of 2030. We got Agenda 2030, we got this, we got that. It's like wild. So the thing for me is that I'm now tapping into all of the stuff that I've been doing and I go, wow, this year and next year are the dragonfly years. Next year is supposedly the year that humanity gets its DNA upgrade. All while this thing is not on, I mean, come on. The timing is, there's no such thing as coincidence. And again, I do feel like we've got a window, but I do feel this was possibly why there was such a rush to get 5G out, 6G,
Yeah.
all those things, because if they're going to pull something down that is perhaps running a frequency that is sort of pinging off our brains all the time and mind control and all that kind of thing, well, then they've got to have other things to counteract that. And so there might be a ramping up of distractions. There could be war scenarios. There could be all sorts of things that go on. And I think awareness is key, because if we're aware of these things, then we can choose where we want to put our energy and that kind of thing, because we all know that our energy is our main currency, and what lives in here is really the most divine and sacred thing that we have, and we now have the choice and the power as to where we want to direct this.
Yeah, I love that, Emma. I love that. Now, you had mentioned when was it that they did an upgrade? What year was
Yeah,
that?
I didn't know. Apparently, the last long shutdown was 2018 to 2022. And what happened smack bang in the middle of that?
Bingo. So why we're bringing this forward to everyone's attention is for awareness and to bring power back to humanity, to ourselves. And so think of that. They shut it down for that time, right? Between 2018 and 2022. And then what came up, right? We know COVID came up. And then this brought in huge immense fear, right? For humanity. And then the vaccines and all. We know how everything unfolded. So now that it's shut down until the full acceleration, full power in 2030, we're just asking you to take notice. And we feel it's an opportunity. It's not something to fear. Our light is so strong now. Like there's mass awakenings occurring. We feel like we're not going to get harmed anymore for saying divine truths. So this is really coming forward and we're very excited about it. Like I'm lit up. I'm lit up.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I do. I think it's I just think we've been talking about the shift and why these years are key. And I go, wow, this is, I always say to people, there's almost like this very 3D, but then there's always something counteracting it that's higher, that high energy. And look at what basically happened during COVID as well. I mean, how many people did that wake up? So there is always good. There never needs to be any fear with us, and I believe that we can take look at the opportunities and even we are vast, powerful beings. So who knows what we can do in this window that we've got? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's some amongst us that are really good reprogrammers and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, it's just there are so many possibilities, and that's what I love about this, because it's never to be in fear, because when you've got awareness and when you start realizing exactly who and what you are, well, I don't think that there really can be any fear, can it?
Oh,
Because
yeah. I
you just
so
start
agree with you.
operating differently.
Yeah, I agree. And I too feel like this window that we have, this opportunity, I do feel we're detaching from the false matrix. So through all the structures, we're detaching, 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 detaching.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
we become more filled with light, more of a higher vibrational frequency. And we're just literally we're literally rising from the 3D, like we're our own dimensional. This is the dimensional shift. That's the
yeah.
divine's coming through. This is the dimensional shift.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important that people just during this time, I mean, I've seen one or two videos where people are talking really about that they are saying that it is. I say I don't know, because I don't know. But they are saying that it is they are emitting a frequency from this thing that is the mimic grid. So it is mimicking Gaia's natural frequency. And so what's really interesting about this is that now, oh, I'm getting full body goosebumps. For the however long that this is down, what is our antidote? You've got to get out and put your feet on the ground. You have got to get out and actually, now you can connect with Gaia's grid. Connect with her, speak to her, talk to the elementals, talk to the ground, talk to the rocks, talk to the water, get your feet in the water. We have got a beautiful opportunity here where that is down.
Yeah.
So this is where we can literally work with your heart. Get out there, go lie on the ground, go and lie on the ground, get your belly button on the ground. Reconnect to our beautiful mother. This is our opportunity to do this. This is
So beautiful.
magnificent.
Yeah, my mouth's
Yeah.
hurting from smiling so much. It's really beautiful. I
Yeah.
can feel it. I can feel that we're in this. It's a very, very positive shift. And I feel like
Absolutely.
also with regarding CERN, and I feel divine truths are really coming forward now. No one's going to be taken out. No one's going to be fearful of this occurring now. Now these mass awakenings are occurring, and people are really going to be unplugging, because and it's just like our light is just going to go fully
Absolutely.
explode. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And remember what the last time they took it down, what was also not, what did we not have the last time? Well, the dragons weren't all awake, were they?
No. Oh, I have goosebumps with that. I totally have goosebumps.
So
Woo!
yeah,
Woo!
absolutely. So the
Yeah.
dragons are awake, and yeah, I think the Fey elemental kingdom. I mean, you don't piss those guys off. So if there's any shenanigans going on, I think that
Yeah.
I just love it, and I just wanted to say to the people out there, for anybody who hasn't seen Stranger Things, and this is just my opinion. But if you haven't seen it, or even if you have seen it, go back and look at what they're doing under the ground, where they've got that big thing that they were burying, that they had to go underground. I think it was at the end of the first or second season, whatever it was. I think that is a CERN. I think they're talking about it being a collider and whatever. I think that it can open portals into other dimensions.
Oh my gosh. So fascinating
Yes.
you're saying this because my team's been leading me to stargates and like how I remember when I went to Egypt in 2025 and I think it was at the Hathor temple. And I remember looking, and there was this brick, but it was kind of torn down. And I remember getting the download. That was a Stargate. That was a Stargate, and it was torn down. Part of it still remaining, but there are other Stargates made out of meteorites, other stone. Like so, all these things are coming forward, but it has to do with what you mentioned regarding Stranger Things. They put this in. They plug the false matrix, puts in information through movies and TV shows and like people say, oh, The Simpsons, other shows, right? They're like, how are they knowing this? Because they're plugging it in because that's our consent. That's them saying what they're going to be doing, right? Yeah,
Absolutely, because when the shit does hit the fan, which it's going to do, they're going
yeah,
to go, oh, but we were telling them all along, because there is a universal law that they cannot interfere with our free will. The problem is that it's been manipulated
yeah.
to a certain degree. So that's why awareness is key, and it's really important to choose where you are, what you are giving your consent to. And those four words, I do not consent, are incredibly powerful. I mean, you just say them and you can feel the power rippling out of you, you
Yeah.
know.
Oof.
And I mean, there's so many things in Stranger Things. I mean, there's the lab, there's the kids with the abilities, which we
Yeah.
know we all have. There are so many things in that one. And interestingly enough, if anybody's interested, I've just finished watching the is it the Burrows? Is it the Burrows? But it's like they call it the geriatric version of Stranger Things. It's just one series. But
Wow.
anybody is interested, go have a look at that as well.
Isn't
Very,
that
very
interesting?
interesting. Just like, yeah, and it breaks my heart is, I mean, when I saw the movie Disclosure Day, is, I think we're reaching that point where we just, well, I keep going, why are we so afraid of aliens? Because look around at the animals on this planet, they're not human. They're other beings, and they're all seeded from other places. So this whole programming around aliens and greys and reptilians, and this is, we're already living with things that are other than human. We have the whole animal kingdom.
Yeah.
So we've got to just get out of this, like, if it's not us, it's other. It's no. I was very upset in that movie when they were experimenting on that grey.
Yeah, me too.
So I think that this is where we come together. We come together in love. We come together for good. We have an awareness of all these things, and we know that we're badasses. We've got the dragon's back, and we have the power to change this. If you're going to go to somebody and be angry at them, you're putting more anger into the field. Sacred anger is different, because that's almost like something that rises, and I've been sharing shorts about that. But I think that if you can just go to somebody, take a breath, and rather just send them some love and kindness, even if you don't agree with them, that already is dismantling the grid.
It's transformational. When we speak through our hearts, when we love from our heart, when we feel from our hearts, it's all about the heart energy. And that is transformational.
Absolutely.
It's
And the
beautiful.
animals. So, I mentioned about Gaia getting out, but also connect with your animals. They for some reason they are, well, I think it's just because they don't have an ego, but they're also holding that very, very, very pure light. They're not able to be programmed like we are. So if you want to plug into the most light that we have, and you feel like you can't get it from anywhere, and you've got an animal in your home, well, just spend some time with that animal.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. There's two specific cows, and I think I've put a video of them on one of my videos, and when I was going for a bike ride, and they weren't there. They haven't been there recently in the field. And I was shocked at the realization of the amount of light they held for the community. And every time a car would go by, every time someone would walk by or ride their bike, they held an enormous amount of light.
Yeah.
And so the false matrices come in also with, it's a brainwashing. I've seen it. I went to a channeling and I went into it. When they flipped everything upside down, they took all the fruit trees out. There was fruit trees all around the globe, and they cut them all down. I saw this, but it was also from my friend Bridget from Light Resonance that guided me when I started eating more fruit, and she started bringing all this information forward. What was interesting, that I'm like, I got to go a bit deeper and see what's going on. And she mentioned that. She's like, Sarah, this is what I saw when I went in. I saw it as well. And then they did a brainwashing on humanity, take away the fruit trees and let them think they need to eat the animals. This is so effed up. And then they make them think it's for the muscles and your bones and your calcium and everything else. And actually, when we're in the fifth dimensional frequency, you don't need to eat animals. We're not eating animals because of the purity of their light. Animals are so pure, and so are children. It's immense, the light. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's really effed when we start to get really, really crystal clear and unplug what comes through as these divine truths. But it is also very exciting.
It is.
Also very exciting.
It's very exciting, because we're just becoming more and more aware of who we are. All of this is doing is basically putting a spotlight on things, and now they're not so hidden. And we are in the age of Aquarius, and that is the revelation of all these beautiful truths and things like that. And I just, I've gone from being very depressed over the last sort of 5 years and whatever, kind of like, pre sort of COVID, I was just going, how much longer am I going to have to stay on this bloody planet? And now I'm so excited to be here, because this is what I came for, and we're all part of it, and we're all doing this. And I just think it's beautiful. And whenever we see something that looks nefarious in 3D, just take a step back and ask yourself, what is the other side of it? Because we do live in a realm of duality and polarity. So if there's something on one side, there's got to be something to counteract it on the other.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Mm.
And I think we'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone, so much for
absolutely.
joining this live. We're going to be doing this periodically. Emma and I think I'll be on Emma's channel next, and my channel will go back and forth. We really want to bring forward awareness and love, and really the excitement that this is go time. It is go time. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Emma. Big hugs of love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Ciao.
Bye.